There's, the guy, the Jonathan Cahn, who wrote the Harbinger. There's questions about just about his whole what seems to be prophetic understanding of things. I'm not even sure. I've heard of the book. I don't personally know anything about the Harbinger, so I don't know if he's Orthodox or if he's Messianic. I have no idea. But
he's a Messianic Christian. He used to preach in the Church of the Nazarene in Paramus, New Jersey, and now he. I mean, that's a weird. No, he's very not Orthodox. His church used to be in the Church of the Nazarene, and then they went and bought their own building. So it's a Christian group that identifies as Messianic. He replaced a Messianic leader who repented. It's most people wouldn't know. They will never announce this. And I'm not getting into Messianic congregations. I don't want to talk about it. There's nothing to do with whether Jesus is the Messiah or not, or what does the Bible say. But as it turns out, Jonathan Cahn's predecessor was a Jew who had converted to Christianity and returned back to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and left Christianity and left the Messianic movement. And Jonathan Cahn was his replacement. Not kidding. So this is a long time ago, but I remember it very well, and I knew his predecessor, and I remember when he left, and I remember him leaving. So
does Jonathan?
That's the story that you won't hear anywhere unless you know the story behind it.
Is Jonathan Cahn, is he, just for curiosity's sake, is he Jewish by birth? Do you know if he is?
Yes. To the best of my knowledge, he's Jewish by birth.
So he's probably fluent in Hebrew, maybe.
And he's hooked up with a partner named Gary Selman. I guess they're still together. I mean, it's been a long time ago, but he's hooked up with. Now, Gary Selman started this church with another fellow who left the Messianic movement. So Gary Selman had to get another partner, and Jonathan Cahn was his replacement. And interestingly, Jonathan Cahn and Gary Selman had a radio show. I don't know if it still continues to this day in New York. They had a Messianic Christian radio show, with the whole Messianic deal. There's a funny story. I don't think I ever told anyone. I knew all these guys because these are the guys from the old days. And I started doing news talk radio in New York. And I started in Westchester Radio, and I moved on to New York Radio. A few years later, I got picked up by a very large station, and I was a broadcaster doing news talk radio in New York. And I actually was broadcasting for the same station that these missionaries did. Not only that, it was a station owned like different, like on the dial. So it's the same building, and they had radio studios all next to each other, broadcasting on different radio frequencies. You're not going to believe this. I don't think I ever told anyone this. We broadcasted at the same time. There was a time, I don't remember if it was for 6 months or 3 months or 9 months. I just don't remember. This is a long time ago. But we actually would go to the studio, and there was, Jonathan Cahn, and they were in Studio B, and I was in Studio C. I'm not kidding. And I'd be broadcasting, they'd be broadcasting. They would just be ending, and I'd be going in or something like that. And there were times where we would hang out after the broadcast.
Wow.
When I say hang out, we'd be down in the parking lot, and many of their groupies would there, and we'd have this whole conversation. The groupies would get all excited and upset at me being an anti-missionary, but they were the missionaries never themselves mixed it up with me. It means if I ever, and I've had conversations with many Messianic leaders, including both of them. I've had many personal conversations with them. They never try to convert me. They never engage in any kind of converse ever with me.
Does do you know if
The only exception is one time Sid Roth asked me, another missionary, if there's any record in Jewish literature that the veil that separated the Holy of Holies from the other part of the temple, if it's recorded in the Talmud that occurred. Of course, it didn't, because the story is nonsense. It's in the Christian Bible, but it's unsupported by any. That's the only time any Christian ever asked me a question. But yeah, I knew them. But this is a lifetime ago. And to my best of my knowledge, he grew up in a reform in a home. And this is what he told me, and I don't have any reason to question it, that he came from a family that was a member of the Reform movement.
Interesting. So you think he was fluent with Hebrew, this Jonathan Cahn?
No, I don't know. I didn't give him a test. I have no idea.
Yeah, I was just curious.
He come from. I mean, he did say to me that he grew up in a fairly secular home that was a member of a Reform congregation. That's what he said to me. He might have gone to Hebrew school. I just don't know. I have no idea.
Interesting.
Yeah.